Just in the last 24 hours, we've had a ton of new Nintendo Switch news that has dropped. The first of which is that Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is set to launch on September 24th, and we have a brand new launch trailer to talk about. And then we also have to cover that Nintendo has not forgotten about Skyward Sword HD, as they just released a brand new trailer for the game on their channel today, and I want to share that with you guys. And we also have to cover the big leak around a major remaster that is set to appear on all other consoles, also potentially now making its way over to Switch. And the big talking point for today's video is we now have an update around what this mystery game controller that is filed with the FCC may be and when it may be announced. What's up, nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below. Hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now, as I mentioned, guys, we are covering a few different stories today. The first of which that I will kick it off with is Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, as that game is finally making its way to the Nintendo Switch platform, and it's long overdue. Like, this is a very good Dragon Ball Z game experience. I've already played through it myself. I actually got it on the PC version so I could mod in the Bruce Falconer soundtrack, because I don't know if you guys know that the original OG soundtrack to Dragon Ball Z completely sucks compared to the Bruce Falconer version that was out on Toonami and Cartoon Network back in the day. Like, I grew up with the show. Maybe I'm just an old man, but I could almost not stand to play the game with the like trumpet sound music. Like, you know, you're going into a huge battle and then all of a sudden Gohan transforms into Super Saiyan 2 and you just hear burr, burr, burr. Like, it makes no sense at all. I just can't stand it. So I had to mod in the music myself, but I am pumped for this game to finally debut on the Switch, and it does come with the first DLC pack, which is called A New Power Awakens. And I would be sharing you guys the exact new trailer that did drop today, but I will link it in the description down below. For some ridiculous reason, Bandai Namco likes to give out copyright claims whenever you're talking about their games and promoting them, because, you know, who wouldn't want free publicity for a game? But I guess Bandai Namco does not. So I can't really show you guys the new trailer, but I will include some of the just gameplay footage as we're talking through this, as this is a great Dragon Ball Z game. As I said, you of course progress through the series and through the anime style, like how everything unfolds. I think they do a good job of balancing the amount of combat and fast-paced, intense action with, you know, your fair share of just side quests and exploration. And I do like the leveling system as well, as you will continue to unlock like new major power attacks and some classic iconic finishers from the anime series that you will unlock as you go. And I just think that overall, as far as how responsive and quick and in tune the combat feels in Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, I definitely think it's worth picking up on the Switch. Again, for me, the downside is going to be the soundtrack, but at least you can play it portably, and this may be a game that would look beautiful in OLED, as I do think that the graphical fidelity that they pulled off on the Switch version and what we're seeing from the trailer does look very nice. So this will be a welcome addition to the Switch family, and I would love to know from you guys in the comments down below what you think of Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, if you've had a chance to play it out on its current platforms, or if this will be your first time maybe picking it up, and if you are planning on getting it. And then bonus question for you out there is, do you like the good soundtrack for Dragon Ball Z, meaning Bruce Falconer, or do you like the OG one that is just not simply as good? So please share your thoughts and opinions on that topic in the comments down below. Now, next up, we have to talk about some continued love for Skyward Sword HD, as obviously that game launched back in the middle part of July, and we still have Nintendo surprisingly promoting the game, as they just came out with a new Romance of the Fates trailer today that does, you know, an excellent job at just telling you and reminding you how beautiful of a story this is in the Legend of Zelda franchise. And if you're a true Zelda fan, you have to play through this game. Like, whether you like it with motion controls or button controls, they have that covered now. It is an excellent title start to finish, and I do think that this is one that all fans really need to go back and play, especially if you want to be deeply invested into the lore of the Legend of Zelda. And it was just a nice reminder from Nintendo, if anybody forgot about this game or maybe skipped over it and hasn't purchased it yet, that this is a beautiful story. And especially for like some old school Ocarina of Time fans out there, I won't spoil anything, but the story just references that game in such beautiful ways. And like, the ending of the game is just maybe one of the most incredible things in Zelda history as far as nostalgia, especially if you kind of know what they're setting up at the end of that game. So it is definitely one for all of the fans to go out there and pick up. And then actually, at the time of filming this video, we had an additional announcement around Skyward Sword that Nintendo just surprise dropped on Twitter, and that is the fact that they are going to be selling all of their Skyward Sword merch that I guess they've been selling at like the NYC or New York City Nintendo store, you can now order that online through the Nintendo website. So I would definitely recommend checking it out. Like, I'll throw a picture on screen of what's available. I will definitely be ordering probably the hoodie myself, and maybe even the pillow and the mugs. It all looks amazing. So I will leave a link to that post as well in the description down below in case you guys are interested in picking up some Skyward Sword merch. But guys, if you haven't bought Skyward Sword HD on the Switch yet, like, what are you doing? You know, go out there and buy it. It is definitely worth it. It is a quality playthrough, especially if you are already a hardcore Legend of Zelda fan, and especially if you're somebody new to the series from Breath of the Wild, because Breath of the Wild is a different formula and an evolution of what Zelda has become. But this Skyward Sword HD does a great job of painting that classical Zelda formula as far as traditional dungeons, traditional items, and just the flow of the game. It plays like more of a traditional Zelda title, and I think that that's very important for new Zelda fans to go out there and experience. So highly recommend Skyward Sword HD. Love to see Nintendo continuing to promote it on their channel, and you know, it's one that again, I just can't recommend enough if you haven't gotten a chance to go pick it up yet. But let me know in the comments down below if you guys are through Skyward Sword HD yet, if you've completed it, what you think about it overall, as I do look forward to hearing from you guys on that, because that is just a top game of the year for me so far as a Zelda fan. Now, next up, we have to talk about a major title that is getting a remaster that we did not think originally was headed to the Switch, as its announcement trailer did not include the Switch logo at any point in time. But we do have a Brazil rating board that is now claiming that this game is being rated for the Nintendo Switch. And while these can sometimes not be entirely accurate, I do think that this one would make a lot of sense, as the developer behind them, Remedy, has actually ported over a cloud version of a game by the name of Control to the Nintendo Switch. And then that's going to be the big talking point about this, is will this be a cloud release on the Nintendo Switch, or will it be something like a native port? And it very well could be a native port, and that may be the reason that they have not officially announced it for the Switch, but it's being rated for the Switch version. Because if you think about it, if it's not going to launch day and date with the other consoles, they may hold off on an official announcement for the Switch version, similar to like how we saw Dragon Ball Z Kakarot not confirmed for the Switch and then it's brought over at a later time. You know, so it could be one of these situations where it is getting a native port, or if you look at the history of what Remedy did with Control, it could very well be a cloud port as well. But this was one for me that I did not play the original on the Xbox 360. I know it was like a huge cult classic and a fan hit, so I would love to hear from you guys in the comments if you have played through the original Alan Wake, if you think that this one is for sure going to be a day one pickup on the Switch, or if it's something that you'll wait and see how it plays, or maybe, you know, you're in the camp that it'll be either, if it's cloud based you might not pick it up, or if it's native you will. So let me know in the comments down below your thoughts around Alan Wake. But it is reassuring to actually see a potential major re-release and remaster make its way to the Nintendo Switch, as the more games that I have that I can play in docked or portable, the better in my book. So I do hope this is a native one personally, but I would love to hear from you guys around your thoughts on Alan Wake in the comments down below. Now, the major story we're talking about today is a huge update around a story that we talked about last week on the channel, which is the fact that Nintendo has filed a confidentiality agreement for a new game controller. At least that's what it's called in the description with the FCC filing. And you know, obviously it set the internet ablaze with different types of speculation on what this controller could be, because it's definitely something different than the Joy-Cons, as it wouldn't have to be totally refiled unless if it's a Joy-Con revision to maybe fix drift, but that would be surprising. Other than that, this would line up especially well if we do see Nintendo put on a September Nintendo Direct, and maybe they unveil a brand new console for Nintendo Switch Online, which we have historically seen them do, and include new game controllers alongside of them, as obviously we have the NES controllers and the SNES controllers. So a big talking point, and my personal prediction as well, is the fact that maybe this is an N64 controller that is being held behind for review until it is ready to be shipped. Now, the big reason it's in the news, as I mentioned, is we now have an update around when this confidentiality agreement now expires, and that is actually September 24th, which is a huge deal because that's Friday of this week. So that means between the time of filming this video, which it is Tuesday, September 21st, and the timing of Friday the 24th, we're going to get an announcement, because Nintendo's not going to want the FCC just to drop these images online and not tell us what it is ahead of time. So there's a lot of different ways this could go. But to start off the conversation, I do want to quickly hop over to VGC to read through their updated article around what has broke and what this means, and then we will have a discussion around that. This may be an indication that we can still expect a September Nintendo Direct, or we can speculate around the fact that it may just be a Twitter drop. But let's first start off by reading through the exact article so we're on the same page with all the information that's out there. Nintendo will reveal some kind of new Switch controller this week, a US government listing has suggested. Earlier this month, Nintendo's request for a confidentiality agreement was submitted and listed on the FCC website, for an item simply described as game controller. The initial documents listed on the website had suggested that all photos of the unrevealed controller, its manual, its block diagram, and its schematics would be kept secret for up to 6 months. However, on Tuesday, new filings appeared on the FCC website stating that short-term confidential information related to the peripheral, such as images and diagrams, will be made available this Friday, September 24th. If accurate, this suggests that Nintendo will likely announce the mysterious device before images of it are published by the US government body this Friday. The FCC's website reveal dates could potentially corroborate claims that a new Nintendo Direct would be published this month. Nintendo has previously requested confidentiality when submitting new controller designs to the FCC. It did the same thing in August of 2019 with its design for the wireless SNES controller. However, that request was supported by a diagram of where the FCC's certification label should go, which made it clear that the device was shaped like an SNES controller. For this new controller, a similar diagram has been added, but it simply shows 2 rectangles with no discernible details. However, it's been noted that the shape and placement of the labels would roughly match the design of a Nintendo 64 controller. So I just personally think this is going to be a super exciting situation to watch unfold, as it means it's happening this week. We're getting some kind of announcement one way or another around what this mystery game controller is. I do hope it's the N64 controller, and I do hope it gets announced at a September Nintendo Direct that is just still unannounced right now, because, you know, Nintendo could easily do either a Direct or Direct Mini announcement tomorrow and then hold it on Thursday. I don't think they'll hold it on Friday, and in fact, the images are set to go live from the FCC on Friday. So we're either getting this included as an announcement of part of the NSO upgrades at something like a September Nintendo Direct, or the alternative announcement form that they could do is just a surprise Twitter drop. And I don't know that, you know, you announce just a brand new controller on Twitter with no other promotion, and it's definitely not an N64 controller if they announce it on Twitter. At least I wouldn't think so, because I would be extremely surprised if Nintendo's like, here's your new NSO upgrades on September, and by the way, it's the N64 console and you can order this controller. Like, why would that not be featured at a Direct? You know, that's just at least my thought process on it. Of course, we talk about a lot on the channel that Nintendo likes to do Nintendo things, and that's always to throw unexpected curveballs, and just when everybody thinks they're going to pivot one way, they pivot the other. So this is all up for debate and speculation right now. I personally am holding out hope that we are around the corner for a September Nintendo Direct, or at least a Direct Mini, where this will be talked about as part of the Nintendo Switch Online upgrade service to the Switch console, because, you know, we've talked about it numerous times here on the channel, but we are well overdue for some kind of upgrade or inclusion of new consoles and classic systems on Nintendo Switch Online. And if they even go further and maybe give us some kind of, you know, UI update or themes and folders as we get closer and closer to the Switch OLED launch, I just think it makes a ton of sense for Nintendo to capitalize on that, and it will definitely drive new momentum around sales and resubscriptions to NSO. So it only makes sense to me. But at this point in the video, guys, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions on everything we talked about today. What did you think about Nintendo surprise dropping another Skyward Sword HD trailer out of the blue today, and how far through that game are you if you're not completed already? Also, let me know if you're planning on picking up Dragon Ball Z Kakarot as it launches this Friday on September 24th. And then Alan Wake Remake, do you think it's going to be a cloud port? Do you think it's going to be a native port? Or do you think that maybe the ratings board just messed up and it's not coming to the Switch at all? And I really want to hear from you guys around your personal thoughts and opinions on what this Nintendo controller may be, and if you think we will indeed see it released this week like the FCC filing is suggesting. And I would really love to hear from you guys if you think it's going to be dropped at something like a Nintendo Direct that we just don't know about as of today, or if you think that this is going to be a surprise Twitter drop as a standalone announcement. So I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all in the comments down below, so make sure you share your thoughts and opinions before you leave the video. Thanks so much for watching the video today, everyone. I do truly appreciate you all sticking around until the end. I do at this point in the video want to invite you all one more time to join Sunbro Nation if you haven't done so already. Do so by subscribing below, hit the like button on your way out if you enjoyed it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. That's gonna do it for me, guys. I hope you all have a great day. Sunbro Nation, out.